Hi, Rajinder Uppal, Fruitvale Daily Log. So here we are again on the notes of corporate greed and communication, etc. This is regarding the project of the children of Bay Area, etc., experiencing unexplained phenomenon where they have high blood pressure or a brain aneurysm related deaths in the last 4 years to 5 years. So one of the things that I forgot to notate was this, is that I'm at site underneath the BART train, and what I'm looking at is what just reminded me is each and every single site where you have high power equipment or high power lines, and these high power lines are near some sort of big magnet. So for instance, in the Midwest, they have those steel towers, and those steel towers have those big cables next to them, the power cables. Those power cables over time make those steel towers magnetically charged, and that magnetically charged steel tower doesn't do much, but it does do wonders on farmers. If you're a farmer living underneath a high tension power line, you develop brain cancer, you develop all sorts of other shit. And if you look at the history or records, it's proven fact that high power tension lines above one's head in the Midwest is proven to, without a shadow of a doubt, causes cancer, brain cancer, tumors, other brain abnormalities. So that's due to mutation caused in the brain. Now, that's because you know now that high power lines above, it's not even a fiction, it's a fact, causes developmental issues in children if they walk underneath those power lines every day. Now, skipping to this project, which is a much more lethal project, this project is essentially now looking at every single site where you have high-powered equipment or high-powered tension lines. No, basically any equipment that has not been turned off in greater than 3 years. Let me repeat that again. Any equipment which has not been turned off in greater than 3 years and is a high-power consuming equipment, such as a transformer or other equipment such as cell phone signal repeaters, cell sites, and also BART train tracks, for instance, is now on the to-do list. On this BART train track, the BART line is magnetic because the power that goes to the BART line is enormous. And so so the thing is, back to my story. Now, take a look at any equipment such as cell sites. If you go down this road on East 12th Street, right after 23rd Avenue where there's a Valero, on the left-hand side you will notice that there's a Asian Youth Foundation building. After the Asian Youth Foundation building, immediately after that, to your left, there's a cell tower, very high, very long cell tower. That cell tower is A, illegal, B, does not contain an FCC Class A license, and a whole bunch of other problems. But the point is this, that cell tower is designed wrong, because if you look at it, there's 5 fucking cables in that cell tower. And so every one of those cables is connected to a power source. So a radio antenna such as GSM, it requires a very long antenna, very high up, but at the very thing is to the bottom of the GSM antenna contains power. That power cable that goes to it is very, very, very thick. If you notice those cables at the cell site in that I'm talking about, it's called Western Tower. Anyways, so now what happens is each one of these cell sites, which has high-powered magnetism, as I've already proven, when you don't turn off the equipment for greater than 3 years, and it has high power to it, it magnetizes shit, like metals around it. But also what it does is it has a havoc on rocks and environment around it too, actually. What it does is any igneous or metamorphic rocks, those two only, igneous and metamorphic rocks, if those rocks contain iron, and which abundantly they do. Basically, almost every single rock on this planet contains iron in its core or somewhere. So what happens is that this magnet over time causes the iron to react with other chemicals and molecules inside your rock. Net result is this. It's a very complicated thing that happens over 3 to 5 years. But 3 to 5 years of artificial magnetism on a rock produces a net result of something unique. No, it's cyanide. That's right. Rocks produce cyanide if you magnetize them over 3 to 5 years. And I thought this would be a different result for every different rock. No. Every single one of the sites is the same. If you look at the ground beneath the location at the cell tower site on East 12th Street, down the street there, look at the ground beneath it. It's absolutely black in color. And that's not due to the fact that it's been colored or painted or oil leaked. No, it's over time those rocks have turned black. The area turned black. Now, go to the illegal cell site at Foodmax down the street to your left. Foodmax, every single Foodmax water tower has an illegal GSM antenna array at the top. Every single one of them. Somebody put it up there, and somebody did not have a Class A license from the FCC, nor a Class B license. They don't even have an FCC license for those towers. Anyways, if you look beneath the transmitters at Foodmax, which is connected to that site next to between AT&T and Starbucks in the parking lot, there's a cell site. It's not just a cell site, it's another site. But anyways, it hasn't been turned off in 7 years, almost. But the ground beneath it is also black. If you go to, for instance, another example, if you go to the Oakland Police Department's parking lot on 661 Washington Street, that is the courthouse parking lot building on 7th Street. If you go to the roof, right? So just after you go to the north, like you're at the corner of 7th Street and Broadway, right? You're going down, the police station's on your left, go past it, then you encounter the courthouse, go past it, then you run into a parking lot. Go up those stairs in that parking lot, go all the way to the roof, and you'll notice that the Alameda County Sheriff's Department is contracting through a company which basically is providing these repeaters. I noticed the same thing. Those repeaters are Class A repeaters without a license, first of all. There's a very high-powered equipment at the top of the roof. And guess what? The bottom of it is black. Same thing. It's black in color. It's not the rock that's been painted. It's black. Same exact thing if you go to, let's say, in the parking lot next to, if you go to Jack London Square. In Jack London Square, there's a Bank of America ATM. In that Bank of America ATM building, if you go to the very roof of that parking lot, the 7th floor, there is a microwave antenna pointing straight at the Oakland airport. That high-powered antenna has been on for a while, but I've noticed something interesting also. Directly beneath it is black in color. So this black color, I had some friends and some researchers collaborated on this. It's cyanide. Every single one of these motherfucking sites has been producing cyanide. That black thing is tested. It's not potassium cyanide. It's not sodium cyanide. It's straight cyanide. There's a difference. So this cyanide, to simplify, on each one of these sites is basically cyanide is produced, but when it rains or like other events occur, it washes away that cyanide in trillions of parts or whatever mixture. It's very low level. So when it gets into our water table, it doesn't poison us, but it does poison us over 3 to 5 years, slowly. And cyanide is the only chemical in this planet which does what? Cyanide is a very potent poison because it removes the ability for your hemoglobin, which is the blood in your body, for hemoglobin to bind to oxygen. That's correct. Cyanide binds on the hemoglobin receptor where oxygen would bind. It binds instead. And so what happens is when your blood carries all your fresh blood from your heart out towards your organs, and then your organs deplete that blood and then they send it back, there's an oxygen exchange. You breathe in oxygen, great. So like your oxygenated blood, right, is when the oxygen hits the blood in your lungs. It makes you alive, obviously, but all the bad ones, when they come by, leave, right? That's carbon dioxide. So imagine within seconds, you can't make any more oxygen appear in your blood. You have a complete and utter system shut down and you die instantly, almost. So, but if you don't die instantly overnight, if you're given a very low dose of cyanide over 3 to 5 years, you will develop a very curious symptom. It's called high blood pressure. In fact, it goes higher and higher and higher, the high blood pressure slowly. And imagine a little child has high blood pressure and they can't control it. It will pop a vein in their head or an artery or vessel, and they do die. Over 17,000 deaths have occurred so far. 17,000. Yes, go look it up. So now, the thing is, back to my statement, the reason I'm mentioning that background information is that this rebar right here, see, I was thinking, why is there BART train here? Where's the magnet? It can't be just a line. Then I remembered, these concrete pillars right here, these concrete pillars have something called metal. It's called rebar. Same thing inside freeways. The rebar that is inside of the concrete pillars is basically, over time, same thing. It is magnetized over time. But its magnetic properties can be measured simply by, and keep in mind, there's different types of magnets, not just simply, the shit will stick to it magnet. There's different types of properties of magnets. So you measure the magnetic frequency, resonance, whatever you want to call it, of this. It's quite high. Every single one of those concrete panels has iron bars inside of it. These iron bars, as simple as that, is right above the iron bars is a high-powered tension line, which is your BART train track. It's magnetized every single one of these pillars. That's why when the train comes by nowadays, you notice that it's so fucking loud. Part of it is not because of the train itself. Part of it's like the environment around it. It seems like it's echoing it. No, there's a direct correlation between those two. So the next proof I saw was just now, but I proved it again. Underneath the entire BART train track, it's slightly black, but every single one of these towers, if you notice the floor, every one of these concrete towers, it's black in color, the floor, the whole base of it, the rocks. I'm not talking about the plant life. I'm talking about the rocks. The soil is turning black. So what happens is when it rains, or even better, when the BART sprinkler goes on every night, this BART sprinkler that goes on every night is not just watering the grass, but what it's doing is it's spreading the poison down into the water table faster than you would imagine. This BART train tracks, if you actually get a team of engineers or anybody to do it's not as simple as a talk screen, but you have to measure the potassium tables, and you have to measure the soil erosion levels over time of, like, let's say a month to 2 months minimum. But you could take a measurement of random locations along the base of this BART track, especially this green grass area. It will contain trace amounts of cyanide, not like huge gobs, but I'm saying trace amounts. Cyanide is a very interesting thing. It's like a plutonium. When in nuclear weapons, you could tell exactly which plant, like Savannah River, or which one it came out of, the plutonium that was mined. It's a unique type of thing, you know. It's not just plutonium. It's the same thing with cyanide. Cyanide has different structures. This particular structure is consistent. It's the same here as it is in that cell tower there, as it is in the cell tower in San Leandro, the base of it. It contains the exact same structure. Beat that. It's the same exact structure of cyanide, which means that it's being produced artificially. Artificially is because we don't turn off the fucking power for 1 fucking hour and turn it back on every 10 months, and it would solve the problem, but they won't do it. So, and not just simply turning it off, you have to shut off the entire BART grid. All the BART stations, anything electrical connected to the BART system has to be completely turned off. Let it sit down for 1 year, fucking minute or two, and then turn it back on. But anyways, in the meantime, you'll notice that the problem is the same. And lastly, if you go to Home Depot, behind Home Depot, there's that old power plant looking thing. Same exact point. Measurements were taken from the chemicals at the bottom, measure out the same trace amounts of cyanide. So cyanide is being produced by magnetized metals. Magnetized metals create microfissures and fractures inside rocks, which lead to production of that. And it being watered down by, you know, sprinkler systems, turn on the water and it flushes it down this way. It puts it into your water table and your kids drink it, and your kids will get sick, and they do get sick. And over time, they get high blood pressure and other psychotic behavior attributable directly to poisoning by cyanide. So that is, last part is a structural hypothesis, but the other parts are all true. This is Rajinder Uppal, Fruitvale Daily Log. I'm at the corner of 26th and East 12th Street, and if anybody has any questions, you can come and talk to me. Thank you, and have a good day.